and welcome back to Jen's Jungle. And today I'm back with my Degu gang for part 4 of my complete Degu care guide, Degu cages and accommodation. So today we'll be discussing what are the requirements of Degu housing, how to pick and provide the right cage or other accommodation for your Degu, any special considerations in accommodation, and finally there'll be some examples of different Degu setups. So let's start off by going over some of the basic requirements of Degu housing. Most people choose to buy their cages, and there are multiple Degu appropriate cages readily available. However, some choose to build their own Degu cages. Whether choosing to build or buy, here are some key points to consider. Size. Degus need space to be active. They need both height and floor space. The minimum recommended size for Degus vary. On the smaller side, some people recommend 70 centimeters by 45 centimeters by 70 to 100 centimeters tall. However, many recommend a minimum size of 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 120 centimeters. Bigger tends to be better, but please always consider any mobility or health issues your Degu might have. Chew proof. Degus are avid chewers. They can chew out of many plastic or wooden cages. Cages should either be all metal, or if using wood, this needs to be thick and without ridges that Degus can start chewing at. Bar spacing and gaps. Cages should not have bar spacing or any gaps over 2 centimeters for young Degus, otherwise you might have some escapees. Older, larger Degus may be okay with greater bar spacing, but always be careful. Ventilation. Degus are messy creatures and produce a lot of waste. They also have sensitive respiratory systems, so it is important to ensure any cage has good ventilation to help maintain good Degu health. Solid floors and shelves. All floor space needs to be solid. Degus should not be walking on barred surfaces, as this can damage their feet and cause issues such as bumblefoot. Access and cleaning. Ensuring the cage has good access for you to both interact with your Degus and to clean them out is really important. And this will make owning and caring for your Degus much easier and much more enjoyable. So let's look a little more in depth at choosing or creating the best cage and accommodation for your Degus. As I said, the actual size recommendation for Degus does vary. There is no strict bare minimum as there is for other animals, such as hamsters, 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters by the way. Degus are very active and they need both floor space and vertical space. They benefit from having a large cage which has multiple levels. The smallest recommended size I could find was from Degutopia, and they recommend 70 centimeters by 45 centimeters with a height of 70 to 100 centimeters. However, the Blue Cross, a UK-based animal charity and rescue from which I got my oldest boys, recommend 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters with 120 centimeters for height. So what is the best size? The cage has got to be big enough for Degu-sized accessories. They need hides, toys, and really importantly, a large wheel. A small cage would not accommodate all of this. Degus also need to be able to climb and benefit from shelves and hammock. The size of your cage should also depend on the number of your Degus, their age and mobility. So I have a very large group of Degus here, 19 girls and 2 neutered boys, and they are in a triple level cryptonation cage, which is roughly 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 180 centimeters tall. However, I do also have a smaller group of boys, and these include my 2 old boys, one of which has heart problems and cataracts, and as such they are kept in a smaller cage which is only 80 centimeters by 50 centimeters and 105 centimeters tall. It is really important to choose the right size cage for your group. I personally wouldn't go any smaller than 80 centimeters by 50 centimeters by 100 centimeters, but would recommend aiming for at least 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 120 centimeters. This is a really important point for the safety and security of your Degus. Degus are avid chewers and can easily chew out of inappropriate cages. If buying a cage, it needs to be all metal. Any plastic bases or sides and your degus will chew out. Wooden shop-bought cages are also inappropriate, as these are mainly made out of cheap thin wood that once again your degus will easily chew out of. However, some people do build their own cages. I myself once had a hand-built cage which was made out of really thick wood. If building your own cage, the important thing to make sure is there are no ridges or grooves that a degu could get their teeth into and start chewing through. The sides and surfaces should be smooth to stop chewing. However, whatever cage you have, it is really important to monitor for any signs of escape attempts. Another way your little degu friend may escape is if the bar spacing is too great, or if there's any large gaps in your cage. For young degus, the bar spacing and any gaps should be under 2 centimeters. For older degus, larger bar spacing can be okay. My boys' bar spacing is close to 1 inch, but they aren't able to escape. However, this really depends on your degu, and some young small degus would be able to escape from this. The important thing is to always check the bar spacing of any cage you're buying. If you're building your own, ensure there are no large gaps. Use small metal mesh to cover if needed. No mesh on floors though. Degus are messy creatures, and they pee and poop a lot. The ammonia from their urine can build up and have really negative respiratory effects. This is why it's important that any cage has good ventilation. Metal barred cages are popular and they offer really good ventilation, so this is a great option if you're buying. If you're building your own cage, remember to include good ventilation. They should have large doors or mesh sections to ensure adequate airflow through the cage. This is another aspect which can greatly impact your degu's health. Degus have very sensitive feet and can form blisters and sores on their feet, which can lead to infection and issues such as bumblefoot if improperly kept. As such, it's really important that any floor space in your cage, that's the floor and any shelves, are solid. Walking on bars and mesh is really dangerous. It is best to either pick a cage that comes with a solid floor and shelves, or cover any barred or meshed areas with cardboard, wood, or other material. One level in my boys' cage is barred, and I simply cover it with cardboard and hemp liners. This is something that will make life easier for you rather than your degus. When choosing or building a cage, consider how easy it is to access the cage, interact with your degus, and clean it out. Degus are prey animals, so having to reach in and grab them through small doors isn't ideal and will negatively impact your interactions with them. Large front opening doors are best, and this will make it easier for you to interact with your degus and be far less stressful for both of you. Degus also need to be cleaned out regularly. Consider how easy it will be to clean out any cage and get into all the nooks and crannies. Considering this before purchasing or building any cage will make your life easier in the long run. So these are just a few things to consider when choosing or creating your degu's perfect accommodation. So let's just have a quick look at some of the cages readily available to buy. Some suitable cages are the Critter Nation. This is 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 120 centimeters. It's all metal, it's chew proof. It is a bit more expensive at about £200 to £300, but it's a really great cage and can easily be added onto. This is another cage. It's slightly smaller. I believe it's about 80 centimeters by 50 centimeters by 120 centimeters. The plastic shelves might be chewed and need to be replaced, but overall it's an okay cage. You just need to cover the bars at the bottom. This is a thickets cage. It is 90 centimeters by 60 centimeters by
60 centimetres is a bit on the smaller side, but it's great for a more elderly couple or young babies. And it's been a very popular cage in the past. This is a Pet Planet cage. This is very similar to the Accommodation cage. However, it is slightly cheaper at about £170. You just need to cover the metal ladders as these aren't safe.
Let's also just have a look at some of the less suitable cages or completely unsuitable cages that are, just to prevent people wasting their money on these ones.
Hamster cages, even large ones, are not suitable. They are too small and often contain plastic. They will be out of this in no time whatsoever. Just avoid any hamster cages whatsoever. This goes for guinea pig cages too. Although these are bigger, the bar spacing's not correct. The plastic base they'll be out of, and they often don't have enough height, although they do have the floor space. Also rat cages. Although rat cages can often be the right size for Degus, the plastic bases aren't suitable once again. All these cages for hamsters, guinea pigs, rats I would avoid. Cages like these, although they look great, the base is plastic and they can chew out of these, so I would avoid unless you want any escapees.
Finally, here are just a few examples of other people's Degu cages and accommodation.
So this is a great example of a taller cage with less floor space, but they've obviously used a playpen around the bottom to increase the floor space. As you can see, there's lots of wooden shelves and everything in there, which gives great enrichment. This is a lovely style of cage. Now this is a smaller cage. This is on the smaller size for what I'd recommend. But you can see how they have fitted a wheel in, they fitted some shelves in and a hammock. Bigger is better, but this is a great example of a smaller cage. Now this is a handmade cage and it is absolutely beautiful. As you can see, it's got large doors for ventilation and access. It's got a great playpen. It's got lots of stuff inside. It's a really beautiful cage and looks like furniture, which would be lovely in someone's lounge. This is another handmade cage. Now this one's a bit different in the fact that it seems to have sliding front doors. So this is a different feature, but it's got the mesh at the back. And here's just the label diagram of everything that's in there. You can see that this is a really lovely setup, and once again it looks more like furniture than a cage, so this is great if you're having it somewhere like a lounge, and it's a great compromise between something that looks nice and is also functional as well. Now this is actually one of my old cages. It is all wood with large front opening doors. I really loved this cage and it's a great size. However, eventually the Degus did start chewing out of it, so this is just something to consider. This is my current cage. It is a triple level Accommodation cage. I have this from a large group of Degus. I love this cage because you can add more on. It's got great space. It is all metal. I really love it. Now this is just my smaller cage. This is for my elderly boys. It is smaller at 80 centimetres by 50 centimetres by 100 centimetres. But as you can see, it still fits lots in and it's great for them.
I hope this has given you a few key points to consider when trying to choose the perfect accommodation for you and your Degus. Choosing the right cage can have a massive impact on your Degus' lives and how you care for them. Please consider all this carefully when choosing or creating a cage for your Degus. Next time in my Degu Care series, we'll be looking at kitting out your Degu cage, how to set up the best Degu environment and all the accessories they both need and want. Please like, follow and subscribe to keep up to date with all my lovely Degus and the complete jungle gang. But for now, it's bye from me and bye from my goose. Bye!